Get started. This is the House Judiciary Non-Civil Committee meeting. We have 3 bills under consideration. We're going to, given the fact that we've got a delayed start, we're going to try to be as expeditious as we can. Prior to that, let me recognize our Superior Court Judges of the Week, Judge Stephen Goss and Judge Lawton Stevens. Where are y'all? Right. What? That is not Judge Stephen Goss. That is Judge Quillian Baldwin. Thank you both for being here and for being the resources that you are. The committee had previously passed out Senate Bill 86, went to the Rules Committee. It was then recommitted after an issue or two had come up. Interested parties, all interested parties, got together, and I think my sense is that they've gone ahead and forged a consensus piece of legislation, the new substitute you have in your folder, which is LC 295655S. Mr. Spejas, are you in a position to walk us through that? Thank you. Senator Stone, this is Senator Stone's bill. Senator Stone, if you wanted to do that, or if you wanted to, I don't know to what extent the senator was involved in those. I know you were to some extent, Senator. Whatever you're comfortable with. Please. It's a team effort around here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for expeditiously taking this back up. We address concern in this new substitute by further limiting the arresting powers of someone in the situation of violation of a family violence order to a criminal family violence order. We separated out criminal orders from civil orders, and the arresting power now relates only to violations of orders of pretrial release where someone's been arrested on a charge of family violence, or on violation of a probation order. These are defined in the substitute as criminal family violence orders, and that further restricts the arresting power of law enforcement to the criminal setting.
Thank you. Any questions for the author? Seeing none, Mr. Spejas, did you want to?
No, the honored senator has handled it.
Okay. In the interest of time and having gone through the issue before, but now seeing the breakout in civil and criminal in terms of the family violence order, what's the pleasure of the committee? Mr. Vice Chair.
I move do pass Senate Bill 86, LC 295655 substitute.
Vice Chair moves do pass SB 86, LC 295655S. Second by Representative Ramsey. Are there any amendments? Seeing none. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor of the gentleman's motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We'll move quickly to Senate Bill 160. On Senate Bill 225, I know that there is at least one amendment, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that's been copied. It's in process right now. So while that's happening, on Senate Bill 160, this is the Senate companion measure. Well, I don't know if I'd refer to it as that maybe, but it's the related measure to House Bill 125 that we've been working with. Senator Ginn, we've had a conversation with him today. I know House Bill 125 is over on the Senate side. Mr. Ramsey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If they're companions, they may not be playing very well together right now, but what we're doing here, similar to what the Senate did to Representative Hightower's HB 125 yesterday, both bodies have a bill working through the process that addresses some cleanup issues and some implementation issues related to immigration reform measures, measures that we have worked with the local government groups on, the Attorney General, and other interested parties. We passed a bill out of the House that we debated significantly in this committee and on the floor of the full House. It was passed over to the Senate. The Senate did the same thing with their version of the bill. They yesterday substituted their bill onto our House bill, and that's exactly what we are proposing to do here today. We've spent a lot of time discussing the issue, and like many issues where there's a little bit of disagreement, it'll get worked out, hopefully in conference committee, Mr. Chairman. So this is the House Bill 125 that we've already passed with just a couple of technical tweaks, but the substance of it is the same of what we've already debated and passed, Mr. Chairman.
That's my understanding. It's the preliminary agree to disagree, and then we'll come together on agreement in the conference report. Any questions for Mr. Ramsey from Mr. Pat? Any questions for Mr. Ramsey from members of the committee? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the committee? Mr. Pack.
I move that we do pass substitute as Senate Bill 160, LC 295682S.
Mr. Pack moves do pass SB 160 by substitute LC 295682S. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Ramsey. Any amendments? Seeing none, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the gentleman's motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion's adopted. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your light. You're at the button? No, I'm going to vote now. Oh, I didn't hear it. I need to hear it. Okay. Let the record reflect 1, 2, 3, 4 yeses and 2 noes. Actually, make that 5 yeses and 2 noes. Do we have the amendment on 225? Okay. Okay. Senator Stone, are you still here? We've got Senate Bill 225. The substitute that we have is LC 295654 ERS. Does everybody have that? Okay. Senator Stone, let me call on you to speak to your bill. Then I'm going to call on Representative Setzler as the subcommittee chair to give his report, and then we'll march on from there. Senator Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, thank you for being expeditious and taking this up. What we've done here in this 5654 ERS is adopted the changes that were requested in subcommittee, and they are primarily between the lines 90 and 100 on page 3. And also on line 101 on page 4. What it does briefly is limits the communication in the case of sureties dealing with out-of-state flight situations. It puts the lines of communication directly between the surety and the prosecuting attorney. We had listed other potential persons in that loop, to include sheriff, to include court, but we thought that for simplicity purposes it would be better to focus the communication to the prosecuting attorney. The court still has the final say in whether any issue arises in the situation where a surety has located within 120 days a defendant who has absconded in another jurisdiction. It also sets the standard of competent evidence shown to demonstrate where the person has been located as a probable cause standard. So gives the court a standard to go by in determining if there's a dispute over whether the surety has adequately located a defendant. It also puts a 10-day limitation period on when the extradition approval code would need to be entered in the National Crime Information Center. It expedites procedures and gives a certain date so that there's no ambiguity among the parties. Those are the major changes. I believe they are accurately encapsulated in the current substitute.
Mr. Setzler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was worked through, I think, in a very productive way in subcommittee. I appreciate the senator, appreciate the prosecuting attorney's council, and the surety community kind of coming together on that. I don't want to suggest that everybody, that all parties are equally supportive of this. But I will tell you, the prosecuting community was very helpful in trying to perfect what the author is trying to accomplish, and I think it's something that the subcommittee was very comfortable with, having worked through, providing some clarity to areas that needed some further clarity. I think the three-word amendment that will be offered in subcommittee, I think will complete that process.
Questions for the author or for Mr. Setzler from members of the committee? Seeing none, let me call on Mr. Charles Shaw with the Georgia Association of Professional Bail Bondsmen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Appreciate your time today. We just want to speak in favor of Senate Bill 225 and show our appreciation to Senator Stone and the committee. And I just want to emphasize that this bill is about simply regulatory fairness and appearance, which is the purpose of a criminal appearance bond, is that being the defendant appearing before the court. And I think we've worked through it with the cooperation of Mr. Spanos, Ms. McDade, in getting it to that level where, in fact, the extradition process, the NCIC process will be implemented. And in the event it's not, the bondsman would not be held to essentially what we believe to be an unfair standard from being a pecuniary benefit to the government. And that would limit our liability to 5%. We support this bill. We have requested an amendment to Representative Stetzler and Representative Atwood regarding notification to the court along with the prosecutor of our competent evidence, which we feel just further memorializes our documentation and compliance with the time window that behooves both us and the prosecutor. And it's my understanding that the prosecutors have consented to that. And we would urge your support, and we thank you so much for your time, and I'm willing to take any questions or comments.
Any questions for Mr. Shaw from members of the committee? Mr. Setzler. Oh. Mr. Spahouse, let me call on you, if you don't mind, to get your take on the prosecutor position on the current substitute and any thoughts you may have on the proposed amendment, assuming that you've seen it.
Yes, sir. I have seen the proposed amendment, and let me say that we do support the concepts that start at line 90 and go to the end. The concept of a prosecutor making a decision not to extradite or facilitate the bringing back of a defendant from out of state should, in all fairness, let the bondsman off the hook. As far as anything else in the bill, it's a shift in policy about bonds, and the prosecutors are not here at all advocating for that. That's a policy decision for this committee to make. But we have participated in this process and firmly support the concepts that start at line 90 and agree that the amendment is a good and a fair amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Spahouse. Any questions, Mr. Spahouse? Seeing none, thank you. It's either Senator Stone or to Mr. Shaw. We are really talking about how many jurisdictions where this would come into play.
Chairman.
I mean, these haven states, right?
Yes, there is particularly 5 states that are safe havens for fugitives, where in fact the surety's common law arrest would not trigger, where extradition would be the only remedy at law we would have, notwithstanding subject to criminal prosecution if the bondsman would go there. So you're talking Illinois, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Oregon, and Texas has, the District of Columbia has certain restrictions also, but it's complete bars in Illinois, Wisconsin, Kentucky, and I believe Texas is very strict. And moreover, I may add, as you notice in the body of the bill, the surety expressly has to agree, in fact, to defray the cost and assume the cost of the extradition. So if, in fact, they provide the location of the fugitive in the other state, it would still be incumbent upon the bondsman on the surety to assume those costs and tender those costs for whatever costs are incurred incident to transporting or renditioning the offender back to the state of Georgia, which we feel is equitable, certainly to the state, and it's our responsibility as sureties.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Mr. Shaw? Seeing none. Pardon me. Mr. Krebs, did you want to be heard? All right. All right. Members, I'm going to suggest the absence of a quorum by one body right now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need one more, which is part of the reason why I was multitasking earlier when you were speaking, in order to. That's right. Isn't that what you do? So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and suspend temporarily until we can get. There are others who I know who are making stops and then coming here, so it may be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and just, since we've come this far, let's go ahead and suspend for a few minutes until we get someone in, then we'll take it up again. Senator Stone, I know you've got responsibilities, so you're obviously welcome to stay if you want to. But the second we get a body in here, we're going to go ahead and take a motion. It's up to you. Sure. No, that's fine. We just need to get a quorum back, and when we do, we'll go to a motion. So for now, we'll just go ahead and here we are.
I'm it.
What's the pleasure of the committee? Ms. Randall, what's your number there?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move do pass substitute Senate Bill 225 LC 295654 ERS.
Ms. Randall moves do pass of SB 225 by substitute LC 295654 ERS. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Pack. Any amendments, Mr. Sessler?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I would offer an amendment that we haven't had the opportunity to circulate. It's a three-word amendment. I'd like to direct everyone's attention to page 3, line 94 of the working substitute. The amendment would insert after "in writing" the words "the court and." So as to read, line 94 would read, "provides in writing the court and the prosecuting attorney for the court that is jurisdiction." What this would require, it would require that the surety notify both the court and the prosecuting attorney. The expectation is the prosecuting attorney is going to initiate the process to get the information entered into the database, but that by providing notification to the court, it's going to provide, granted it provides surety an extra requirement, but the court would be getting notification. So there's, I think in the minds of the bondsman community, there's now an official communication made to the court. So the court would sort of be an honest broker confirming that notification had been made. It'd be on their radar screen with respect to the request made by the bondsman. So I would offer the court and after "in writing." And I don't know if the senator would like to speak to that anymore either.
No, I think it's clear, simple.
Mr. Pack.
Quick question. I know what adding, and I missed the subcommittee, and I apologize for that. When we add the court and the prosecutor, who determines competent evidence giving probable cause?
Court.
Okay.
And that was the motivation behind the amendment. In the event there would be a contested case, that we would, it would be the court would be the arbiter of the determination of the competency of evidence and probable cause.
that was, if you read the construction of the bill, that it was going to be adjudicated there anyway, but they wanted to go ahead and have that be a sort of dual notification on the front end. I would also say, Mr. Chairman, if we could, at the urging of the gentleman from Lilburn, who spells better than I, on line 91, judgment, if we could strike the E, if it pleases Ms. Travis. That was a typo we found in subcommittee that we failed to eliminate. So.
It's not that I spell better, just I'm on code revision, trying to save us work.
It's part of the job description. Right? Very good. Skill set. Any other questions of Mr. Setzler on his proposed amendment on line 94 after the word, after the comma? I'm sorry.
Provides in writing, insert the court and.
Provides in writing, comma, the court and the prosecuting attorney. Any objections to the amendment? Mr. Speos, did you want to go ahead and, did you have any thoughts on that, or did you want to weigh in or not? You're under no duty. Okay. Any objections to the amendment? Seeing none, the amendment is adopted. Are there any further amendments? Seeing none, all those in favor, I'm sorry, yeah, in the absence of objection, the amendment is adopted. Any other amendments? No amendments. No other amendments are being offered. On the underlying motion of due pass by substitute, then, of SB 225, LC 295654, ERS by substitute, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. And we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.